Alright, so 2 weeks ago I decided to try something new. I really am not a fan of vegetables anymore. I'm pretty burnt out. So I've been trying to come up with different ways of being able to hide them in my food so that I still get them, but I don't actually realize it. And I came up with this idea of a green meatloaf, and it turned out pretty good. Kinda stinks a little bit after it's been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days. But it's not bad, so I figured I'd show you the recipe and whatnot. You may be wondering about this. This is my tribute to Black History Month. It's about as black as I'll ever be. It's not gonna happen, but I love black people. They're cool, you know? So, anyways, got some Mos Def in the background. I referenced that in the video. I'm a little brain dead right now. Don't think I got enough sleep for whatever reason, but anyways, hope you enjoy the recipe. Oh, I should do this too. Peace! Alright, the first step of this is going to be the oats. Haven't used these before, but should be good, better than breadcrumbs. I'm going with 1 handful. Just toss those in there. Actually, I'll do a little more. Maybe like 1.5, something like that. Then next are the dried onions. Granted, this is one of the spices, but I want it chopped up pretty finely, and it's not going to go in there well with the other stuff that we're going to process, so since the oatmeal is dry and these are dry, should be a pretty easy combo to mix up. So, put that in there. You want it pretty fine so that it can get evenly distributed throughout the meatloaf, and yeah, that's about it. Good enough for who it's for, which is me. Also, that wonderful music you hear in the background, that's the lyrical genius of Mos Def. Just in case you wanted to know, I highly recommend buying some of his CDs. Alright, here's where things get a little weird. Broccoli, spinach. I'm gonna go with about 2 crowns, break them up a little bit so that it's not as hard on the food processor blades. If you couldn't tell, this is where the name green meatloaf comes into play. Usually try to keep as much of the stem as possible, but sometimes it's not needed. When I say it's not needed, I just mean I ran out of room in here. So that's about it. Then some spinach to go in there, just for the fun of it. If you like spinach more than broccoli, go ahead and add more spinach if you want. I'm not a huge fan of spinach. Pretty much the only way I can eat it is if it's in my shake that I showed you earlier, or something like this, where it's hidden within the food. And then we'll go ahead and process this. Trick for this is to, if you're using a food processor, which I'm not sure how else you would do it without one, but when you're watching it, you'll notice that the stuff is getting rolled around within the blades, and right as soon as it stops rolling and it starts sticking to the sides, that's when it's done. You don't want it to be too liquidy, because then it turns into a paste, and we don't really want that. We want it to be just finely crumbled like this. Alright, so here's the final step, assembly. Okay, maybe not the final step, we might want to cook this too, but you get the idea. So I've got the 2 pounds of turkey, there's my greenness, some eggs for binding, the oatmeal and onion mixture, and then the dried spices. So we're just going to toss everything in the bowl here. Probably don't want that paper in it. Let's see. I'm kind of dead to the world right now. That's why I'm not talking very much, but it's not like this is rocket science. So, egg. And don't underestimate the value of good music while you're cooking. It's pretty essential. Actually, just good music anytime is pretty essential. I don't think it really matters what order you put all this stuff in, as long as it's in there. But then again, why would you have it out and ready if you're not putting it in? I'm retarded, folks. Pretty much retarded. One thing I forgot to mention, the reason I put the dried onions in there instead of fresh onions is the same reason that I'm going to be using garlic powder rather than fresh garlic, just because of all of the green awesomeness. It's already going to be kind of wasn't bad the first time as far as keeping in loaf form, but if you get a lot of extra big chunks of onion and garlic in there, then it's just harder for everything to stick together. So anyways, I'm going to be using some pre-mixed steak seasoning. It smelled pretty good, so I don't think it's going to make this terrible. Remember, you got 2 pounds of turkey in there and a bunch of garlic, or a bunch of broccoli and spinach, so don't be scared of putting a lot of seasoning in here. But then again, if you do, your coworker that sits behind you might not like the smell of this when it's done. It's got a lot of flavor in it, and so therefore you can imagine that it probably gives off a certain aroma, especially after it's been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days. So anyways, I'm gonna get in there with my hands and mix everything up, and I'll give you a peek before I toss it in the oven. Alright, so there it is in all of its glory. God, I'm fucking dumb today. I need some coffee or something, but as you'll see, I left some free space around it. That's because my pan is actually separable, so it drains, and I also cut lines in it so that way all the fat and the juices can bubble up through there and get down into the catch pan. And the other thing I forgot to mention is, see, once again, that's how awesome it all stuck together. Bowl is pretty much clean. Is when you're mixing it and you're not sure if you got enough seasoning or not, you don't really want to wait until it's done, is don't forget to get all up in that thing and smell it. Granted, it's raw turkey, so that might have a little bit of a different flavor than cooked turkey, but like, seriously, put your nose right there. Like, not like here, but like right there, and smell. It's usually a good indicator of what it's going to taste like. So anyways, into the oven it goes. I'll let you know when it's done in about an hour, and then I'll be done and you don't have to listen to me anymore. So there it is, all done. As you can see, it's really not too green. It's a couple of different places in there, but ooh, there's the inside. It's usually not quite this liquidy, but maybe I'll actually throw that in the oven just a little bit longer, but you're not going to see that anyways. I just wanted to show you the outside. Also, remember all that free space that I had? See, here's all this fatty, goopy gunk that I left that room so that it could get collected there, and now it's not in the meat when I eat it. But anyways, I'll take a look, see if I got to throw it back in the oven. If not, take a slice out and enjoy.